this is Jordan from PictureMonk.com, and welcome to the newest episode of the podcast. So if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I try not to take as many breaks as possible. But I actually ended up taking a very long break, over a month of not releasing a podcast, and I really don't know how I feel about that. It allowed me to get a lot of things done that I kind of going on side projects and everything. But oddly enough, I have not released a podcast in over a month, but my downloads and my plays of the podcast, of previous podcasts, have actually doubled. So that is very weird, but kind of cool all at the same time. So I hope me releasing a podcast doesn't jeopardize that. But I wanted to release one because I kind of want to play a little catch up. And I kind of wanted to talk about some cool things coming up that unfortunately will stretch me a little bit thinner than I am right now. But I have some really cool ideas, so I wanted to share them with you guys, and actually wanted to get your opinion on them. And so stay tuned for that just a little bit later. But let's roll into the typical news format like we usually do, or the typical podcast format, and that is the cool findings part of it. I'm still trying not to call it news, but it's kind of the cool things that have just come across on the interwebs. And the first one is, and unfortunately the stuff that I did find, the photographers that are kind of quoted in this whole thing are very hard to pronounce or spell or anything like that. So I'm not even going to try to pronounce these names. However, I will have the links on the website like I normally do. And forgive me for real quick, I'm trying to pull up the link of what it will be. So, but while I'm doing that, let me go ahead and talk about the one of the cool things that I found. And if you follow Petapixel, because both of these are actually listed on Petapixel, if you follow Petapixel, you will see that they post a lot of cool stuff, also with technical stuff, which is kind of fun. But one of the things they posted recently is what they're called folding landscapes, which are very awesome. And what it apparently looks like is, if you've ever seen the movie Inception, there's that a couple scenes actually where the streets and the buildings in town are like folding upwards above the person. And it kind of looks like it's a big sideways U where the landscape is folding above. So when you look up, you see landscape, or you see the town, or whatever it may be. And so this photographer sort of made that stuff, and it looks like he used a drone for that, which is actually kind of fun. But he basically took a whole bunch of drone photos and kind of stitched them together and was able to make a folding landscape. And I'm probably doing a very horrible job of explaining it. So that's why I encourage you to go to the show notes, which I'm actually still trying to pull up. How slow is my internet here? I think it's going to be PictureMonk.com/PMP 076. So yeah, that's the link there. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, head on over to there and you can see the show notes. But yeah, it's a really cool folding landscape thing, and it kind of says it messes with your mind a little bit, and it kind of does. I was trying to figure out before I read it, and when I saw the images, I was trying to figure out how he did them, and it looks like, to me, he just took a huge panorama, took sideways horizontal panoramas with vertical panoramas, and then just used the transform tool in Photoshop, which is kind of the way he did it, but he did it with a drone, I guess, to get different perspectives. But it really helped. It's a really awesome looking thing. And unfortunately, again, I can't pronounce the photographer's name. So I just encourage you to go to the show notes and you can see those. The next one, again, I can probably pronounce this one, but I'm not. I guess I'll try. So don't laugh at me here. This one is the lessons I learned 1 month into a 365 project. And if you haven't heard of a 365 project, it's pretty simple. Basically what it is taking a photo every day for a year and kind of posting that and trying to get, a creative photo. And it's a really cool project if you haven't done one. I did one a very, very, very long time ago. If you've listened to the podcast, you probably heard that already. But I've done one a very long time ago, and it wasn't my best effort. Let's just say that. And what's sad though is I had a whole lot of time to take the photos. I had a whole lot of time to actually go out and go to cool places and get cool photos. But I found my weakness, and I usually never left the house in order to find that stuff, or I never went out of my way to go find a really cool photo. I would take pictures of a doorway or something, like, it would just be some silly thing. So now if I ever had the opportunity, if I ever had the time to do that stuff, I would definitely take way better, more meaningful photos. But Michael Mrochek, I guess that's how you say it. But again, I'll have the link to the article I'm reading here on the show notes. But it just shows that some things that he learned just 1 month into the project, and one of the things that I kind of related to that I just talked about is you need to get out more. That's one of the things that he realized. And let's see, one of the other things was expect the unexpected. You might have to kind of open your mind a little bit when you're taking these photos. And then he just puts a couple little photos on here of what are his favorites so far within his first month of doing it. And it's just a really cool idea. I really, really enjoy that. Me, my photo partner, my dad, and Michael Halloran, who is also on the PictureMonk Nation Facebook page, we all participated in a week of Project 52 challenge where you take a photo every week for a year, and that was a little bit easier, but still sort of the same thing. Kind of. At least for me, I found myself waiting till the last minute to get a photo, and I had the whole week to do it, but I would end up on Sunday at noon trying to find a good photo, and it's just something that you kind of got to think about. Because a lot of people think just taking a cool photo is just stepping out your door, taking a photo, and that's it. But you actually have to come up with really cool ideas. So it's just something fun to think about. And I would love to do this, but it would stretch me thin, more thin than I already am. But that is another thing that's coming up later in the podcast where I've told you I'm going to stretch myself even thinner. So let's go into what I'm going to talk about in this podcast. It's basically just 3 questions. And the reason I picked these 3 questions is because what I've seen is, since I've haven't released a podcast in a while, I've noticed that some of the same questions keep popping up. And I'm imagining it's because people may be seeing the YouTube channel, and they're looking through the videos, and they may have the same questions because I've gotten a lot more subscribers on my YouTube channel. So maybe that's what it is. But I'm going to go over some of these familiar questions that have popped up in my inbox. There it is, my inbox. And one of the top ones is this one is from Amanda in Cleveland. She wrote, I noticed you recently bought a drone. Sorry if this is late, but I am just now catching up with all the podcasts. What is one thing you would say to someone who's looking to purchase their first drone? I would say get a very cheap drone, not like cheap as in like a $50 Amazon drone that is going to blow away on the first gust of wind. But find a drone that, and by no means, real quick, by no means am I a drone expert. I'm just, as someone who's just bought one and flown it, about 10, 15 times, this is kind of what I've learned. Buy one that is capable of what you need, but doesn't have the most expensive camera or all the features. So a real quick example, and this is all covered basically in my last drone podcast that I did, but I went for the DJI Phantom 3 Pro, and it was between that one or the Standard. And I probably could have got away, honestly, with the Standard, but I opted because I did have the extra cash to get the Pro, so I went ahead and got that one. Thankfully, I got that one because I do like all the features that it has. But honestly, I probably could have gotten away with the Standard because that would have allowed me to get more comfortable with the drone, know how to actually fly one without having to, worry about crashing the thing. And even though I did crash mine, everything's fine. But I was super, super scared about, and I thought I was going to smash into a building and all this kind of stuff. I probably could have got away with a cheaper drone because honestly, if you're flying one and you're new to it, if you're going to crash something inexpensive. So I probably could have got away with the Standard, but I'm glad I bought the Pro version. But yeah, I think that's the main thing. Just don't go for the high end stuff. I mean, obviously, I want the new Inspire and all that kind of stuff. The Inspire 2, I think, or whatever. I want all that stuff. But I right now, what I have going on doesn't justify that. It may in the future, and by that time, I can probably get enough cash to get one of the Inspire series. But it's one of those things where it's kind of almost like buying camera gear. When you first start out, yeah, you want the $5,000 camera with the $2,000. You want all that stuff. You know what I mean? You want that. But does what you're doing right now warrant that? So does a $7,000 rig warrant you spending that much money if you're just going to take pictures of the flowers in your backyard? No, it doesn't really warrant that. But it's just, you got to think about what your needs are. Obviously, not everybody started out with the most expensive camera. They got smaller cameras and they learned, and then they developed, and they got more clients, and they got more money, then they were able to afford more gear, and they can do all this kind of stuff. And that's kind of the progression of it. So that's just my thought. Everybody has their own opinion. But you wrote in asking for my opinion, so there you go. So thanks, Amanda, for the question. Hope that answered it a little bit. I know I kind of went off topic on that one, but the next one is from, let's see, David Henry. I'm just making sure I wasn't reading that one wrong. David Henry from Melbourne, Australia. And he wrote, what does your typical workflow look like? And do you use Photoshop or Lightroom mostly? So this one was, again, one of the bigger questions that came in, the most frequently asked questions that came in. And I'm assuming they talked about, I think this actually came in through a video. Let me check real quick. Yeah, this actually came in through one of the real estate vlog videos that I did. And what I'm assuming they're asking is just, once I get photos in, how do I do my editing and all that kind of stuff. So the dumbed down version, the basic version is I'll put the card in the camera, download the photos. I'll always download them into Lightroom. Just because I have all my photos cataloged there and organized by event, or in this particular instance, if it's real estate stuff, I have them organized by address. That way they're easy to find. And so I'll download them, and I have an import preset that I have that has all my standard import stuff on there. It's got decreased highlights, about halfway decreased, probably a third of a stop. Also the increased shadows, a little bit of clarity, a little bit of vibrance and sharpening, and let me see, I know there's another one, lens correction. There it is. Lens correction and transform. I have my auto transform on just to make sure all my lines are straight, and that import preset applies it to each photo upon import. So when I get them into Lightroom, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do much, and then I'll go through each one of the photos and do the minor adjustments that I need to. And that's basically it for the real estate stuff. I'll do the minor adjustments, and if there's a really cool photo that I really, really like that I want to pick out and I want to send to the agent later, for example, which has happened, what I'll do is I'll send them that first round, and that's usually good enough to get them what they need, But then if there's like a really cool exterior photo or something like that, and I want to edit it a little more heavier, I'll usually just open that into Photoshop, do a lot of advanced stuff, maybe clone out some things, do sky replacements, that sort of thing. Save that, pop it back into Lightroom, and then I'm able to export a JPEG from there and send them that photo on the way. And so that's usually the extent of the real estate stuff, just because I promise to always have a 24-hour turnaround time. And normally I'm way less than that. So normally if I go out and shoot a photo shoot at any time during the day, pretty much, by that night, they will have the three sizes of the JPEGs that I give them for the MLS listings. I always give them a larger high resolution 300 DPI, another one that's about 220 DPI that's a little bit smaller, like a medium size, and then not necessarily a thumbnail size, but pretty darn small. I think it's about 800 by 600, 220 DPI, and that's pretty much the three that I give them. Sometimes they do ask for the raw files. I had one company that did ask for raw files, and which was actually kind of nice because I didn't have to edit anything. I just had to make sure that they were shot right and send them to them, and then I was good to go. So that really doesn't bother me that much. But that was actually a contracted thing and not for a real estate agent. But that's usually the workflow for that. There's a slightly different workflow if I'm doing some fun stuff for me, like landscape stuff. If I'm doing that, a lot of times I know I'm notorious for releasing or putting photos out there of stuff like landscape stuff that I take. I'm notorious for taking forever to release one. I know that, and I'm trying to be better. But the reason is because it's one of those things where if you kind of your mind's eye changes a little bit when you look at them, and so I'll edit. I'll take a landscape, for example, and edit it and really like it. I might even do a black and white and do some different color grading or something like that, and then I'll probably walk away, and then I might share it. I might share it right offhand, but I'll still walk away. And then I'll come back and I'll probably make more edits, and then sometimes there's even parts where I just start completely over and do more edits and do more edits and do more edits. And I end up finding that the first one that I did that I knew I was going to release probably wasn't the best one. And so I usually find the one like 4 or 5 edits into it where I really enjoy that one. That's the one that the kind of I guess my show that I really like to if I really have a good photo, if I know I have a really good photo, it's one that I will just pull up randomly one time in an exported folder of a JPEG and just look at it. And that's the way I know that I have that photo, and I think it's one of the perfect photos that I've taken or something like that. If you kind of get what I'm saying, it's just one of those ones that you can't help but not look at. And so that's kind of the workflow for that. There's other things, like if I took a photo of my son or something like that, it's different format. But the two main things are the landscapes and the real estate stuff. So that's typically my workflow. There's nothing special or flashy with the workflow. I just try to make everything look as good as they can in a relatively good amount of time just to send to the client. And that's usually around it. So thank you, David Henry, for the question. This one is also another biggie, and this is kind of one that goes along with the kind of workflow thing. This is something that if you're starting a business, you need to know how to do this, obviously, because you got to get paid. And so this question is from Tom in Arizona, and he said, "How do you accept payments for your photo shoots? I am starting a new business, and Can clients, I think he wrote that wrong. I'm assuming it says I'm starting a new business and my clients currently are writing me checks as I don't accept online payments." So the way I do it, very simple. I'm pretty sure everybody does this, or a lot of people do this actually. I use PayPal because PayPal has a invoicing feature that is free. Built into PayPal. You can definitely use it. I think you do have to upgrade to the business account if they still do that, but mine was already set up that way, I guess. If I'm not entirely sure on the percentage they take out, I think it's 30 cents plus 2.9% that they take out of your whole thing as a processing fee. Can get pretty steep every once in a while. But it's free. It's a free service that they roll in. They're going to get their money out of what is paid to you, but the benefit for you doing that is just build that into your cost. So if, let's say it is 2.9%, let's just round it up to 3. If you have a $100 shoot, just add in $3 extra, and then you got your processing fee from PayPal. That kind of whole thing. So that's how I accept online payments. And what you do is you just pop in your logo at the top of the invoice, fill out the invoice for what it is. So photo shoot of family of blah, 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 blah. Put in your hourly rate, which is, however much you charge. So if you just did an hour shoot and you did $200, that's $200. And then you send it on to the email and they can pay directly from that invoice. It's automatically deposited into your PayPal account. And then from there you can withdraw it and take it home. So that's kind of the process. Usually just for business sake, at least, usually for a lot of reasons, I'll leave in the money in the PayPal for maybe the month and just do one month lump sum take home instead of just every photo shoot, taking the money out. Obviously, if you don't think you're going to have a job for a photo shoot coming up for a while, go ahead and drag it out, bring it home. But if you have regular income and that's the way to do it, that's probably the way to just keep it in there and make it nice and simple. I have looked into the service FreshBooks for my invoicing and my online payment accepting. But the reason I was going to look into them is because what it seems like is I thought if I went with a service like that, I would be able to keep all the money. without having a processing fee. But actually, if you look at the print there, it says that you still get charged a 2 point something percent. So you're really paying for a service like FreshBooks for fancier looking invoices that you can customize, and paying for that extra however much money a month, when you're basically still getting the fee taken out, and all you're doing is just paying for a little extra service. PayPal does a pretty good job. This is not sponsored by PayPal whatsoever, but this is just what I use and what I found through my research, because I do send a lot of invoices. I send a lot during the month, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting the best bang for my buck, and so far that's what I found. So I hope that was a very long answer to my your question there, Tom. Sorry about that, but that's basically it on that part, at least. So. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is the part where I start talking about where I spread myself thin, even thinner than I already am, is kind of going along with the business stuff. I am not a full-time photographer. I wish I was, but I'm not. And one thing that I really enjoy watching, even if they're not full-time photographers, even if they're not guys, if you consider them weekend warriors, are the videos of the guys doing what you love, and getting out there and doing stuff. That's kind of my favorite thing to watch on YouTube or TV or whatever. And so I don't know where exactly I got this idea from. It just kind of popped in my head, I think. But what I want to do is make a small web series that is called something similar to The Road to Full Time. And what that it will entail is it's almost like a video blog series, but it's I don't know really how to explain it. It's not going to cover just photography. Obviously it'll be photography centered, but it's going to cover all the things that I'm trying to do to try to become full time. And because that's my ultimate goal. I do want to become a full-time photographer. I would love to do the podcast all the time, and I would love to make videos for YouTube as well. But I would love to every day pack up my camera, get out there and shoot houses, shoot real estate, shoot portraits, whatever. If I have to shoot portraits, I'm not really a big portrait guy. But if I could do that every day, that would be my life goal. So I want to try to work towards that. And I know it's going to take years or however long, but I want to work towards that, because right now I feel like I'm just kind of, stagnant. And I know some of you out there are feeling the same way. Some of you think, you have the full-time job and you have the family and all this kind of stuff, so you're not sure exactly where to start. So this is me kind of being a guinea pig, I guess, to try to become full-time. And so the video series is going to be kind of called The Road to Full Time. And really, it's like I said, it's not going to be all photography centered. It could be me showing you the updates that I'm doing to my website to try to help people get to come to my website. It could be showing you things I do, SEO stuff or stuff like that. It could be, obviously taking whoever, taking the camera to a photo shoot and videoing me there. And so you can see that, you can see my editing, you can see everything, seeing how I deliver stuff to the client. All that stuff is going to be kind of wrapped in, and it's kind of the road to full time. Even stuff that where I'm going to try to promote, I'm going to run ads, or I'm going to go to, in this case, a real estate office and promote myself. That kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that I like to see. So I know that you guys might like to see that as well. So the reason I'm asking your opinion on it is because I don't want to make it if you guys don't want to watch it, basically. So if you guys are interested in that, please drop me an email, PictureMonk@gmail.com. Please send me an email or pop something on the Facebook account or the Facebook page, the Nation page that you guys join on if you want to join there, PictureMonk.com/nation, all that fun stuff. Just let me know, because I think it would be cool, but I want to make sure that you guys will get some value out of it too. So just let me know about that, and I would love to do something similar to that if you guys want to see it. So the last thing I'm going to talk about here is something I haven't done in a while, a very, very long while, because I haven't had anything to do it with. So I'm actually going to do a giveaway, and this giveaway is for something fun. It's I could give away my Lightroom presets and stuff, but I figured this would be kind of a little bit more fun. Nothing big, obviously, but it's just what I'm giving away is one of the T-shirts that we sell over at PictureMonk.com, and it's one of the newer ones that I like just because I think it's a fun thing to put on a T-shirt. It's the what it's called is the world famous international award winning photographer shirt, and it just basically says that. If you want to see a picture of it, go to the PictureMonk.com/PMP076 show notes. You can see it there, and to enter that, all you have to do. You don't have to share anything on social media because honestly, I hate when you have to do that. You don't have to share anything. You don't have to do anything like that. All you got to do is join the email list. So if you're on my emailing list right now, you're automatically entered to win. So if you're there, good luck. But for those who want to go ahead and join that, you can have a free chance to win the T-shirt. And what I'm going to do is, this is going to come out tomorrow. So on March 31st, I believe that's a Friday, March 31st, I will pick a winner. I'll do a random drawing thing on the mailing list, and then I will announce it on the podcast. So that'll be something fun to kind of the following podcast, not the next Tuesday, but the following podcast, I'll announce it, and then we'll work on getting the information to send it over to you. So that's it. That's all you had to do is just join the email list, and you are ready to go for a kind of a fun little T-shirt thing. So that is this week's podcast. I feel like I answered 3 questions, but I took a long time to answer those 3 questions. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Sorry it took so long to get back to it, but again, I'm trying to do a lot of things that are photography related, but not necessarily PictureMonk related. So thank you guys for joining me in this podcast. Let me know if you want to see that new full-time photographer something. So I don't know really what I'm calling it yet. But if you want to see that little web series there, make sure you check out the show notes again at PictureMonk.com/PMP076. And this is Jordan from PictureMonk.com, and I'll see you in the next podcast.